You have no authority over the airspace.
I do.
No, you don't.
So,
in fact, I'm going to go right back there and I'm going to fly it again here in a minute.
well, you're going to go fly around the power lines?
Yeah.
Right in the substation?
I didn't say that, so I'm going to go do the same thing I did before.
Within about 5 feet of the power lines.
No, you're wrong.
Substation.
I can fly within 5 feet of the power lines if I want.
Well,
that's perfectly legal.
How about you don't do that?
What law are you enforcing? Right. What law are you enforcing?
So I'll tell you what. You can find out later.
Okay.
So don't do that.
So was that a threat?
I'm telling you what.
Are you threatening me? Under what authority are you telling me where I can fly my drone? Under what authority?
I don't got to answer your questions.
Yeah, actually you do. You're my public servant. Hey, well, name and badge number. Identify yourself. Identify yourself. Tyrant!
There he is. Welcome.
Yeah.
See, you look nothing like. You look like just a badass biker dude that's gonna knock your block off right there. You look like just a nice, kindly gentleman here.
You got to realize that was, I needed a haircut, which I got. And that was after about 18 hours in a cell.
Yeah.
And I was arrested with a stocking cap on.
Oh, my gosh. And they didn't find your burglary tools, right?
No.
Okay,
no.
good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, welcome to the show. Sir, you've got an interesting tale. You were arrested for flying a drone and charged with a felony. And Ryan here helped you out. And I want to hear all about it. But first, what we're going to do is, as promised, people are waiting for this. You sent me your first interaction with the police as you were flying out there.
If I could just preface this.
Please preference it, yes.
This was not my first encounter with this officer.
Oh, okay.
I had a counter earlier in the summer where he was going to arrest me when I had been assaulted with a deadly weapon.
Oh, he was going to
arrest me until the town cop showed up and basically pushed him to the back and took over and did everything right.
Okay, so is this a county police officer that we're going to see?
This is a county deputy, a Oceana, Michigan county deputy.
Okay. But I think even so, you admitted that it's not ideal the way you interacted, or are you...
I think I told you I'm probably more of a Keith than a Ken.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to play it and then we'll talk about it afterwards. There are a few things that we will learn from this interaction, but here it is.
Hello. How are you doing today? Oh, I don't answer questions.
Okay. Do you know why I'm here?
That would be a question, wouldn't it?
Right? Well, this is a legitimate police contact, if you're worried about that.
Congratulations.
All right. So, I'm going to ask you to cease and desist from operating a drone within the power lines.
Under what authority?
My authority as a sheriff's deputy.
Wrong. Try again. You have no authority over the airspace.
I do.
No, you don't.
So,
in fact, I'm going to go right back there and I'm going to fly it again here in a minute.
Well, you're going to go fly around the power lines?
Yeah.
Right in the substation?
I didn't say that, so I'm going to go do the same thing I did before.
Within about 5 feet of the power lines.
No, you're wrong.
Substation.
I can fly within 5 feet of the power lines if I want.
Well,
that's perfectly legal.
How about you don't do that?
What law are you enforcing? Right. What law are you enforcing?
So I'll tell you what. You can find out later.
Okay.
So don't do that.
So was that a threat?
I'm telling you what.
Are you threatening me? Under what authority are you telling me where I can fly my drone? Under what authority?
I don't got to answer your questions.
Yeah, actually you do. You're my public servant. Hey, well, name and badge number. Identify yourself. Identify yourself. Tyrant! Well, there you have it. Wouldn't even identify himself.
Okay. Now, this is the first time that Ryan has seen this.
It is.
Your thoughts, Ryan? You go first.
Not ideal, obviously.
Right. Here's what I'll say, okay? Now, I've had a few police encounters videos on my channel. Inevitably, it's always some armchair warrior that gets on there and says stuff like, "How's that boot leather taste?" And I'm like, well, it tastes like I'm sleeping in my own bed tonight and not eating a county bologna sandwich. That's what the boot leather tastes like. Sometimes you have to pick your fights and take the low road, but that's just me because I'm allergic to handcuffs. But Ryan, Don, I'll leave it to you.
Well, the problem I have is, although I was not as congenial as I could have been, what they did to me, they do to a lot of people that have no resources to fight back.
Yes.
Okay, now, to me, it happened with a drone, and they went and found something to charge me with, even though they didn't really have anything to charge me with.
Yeah.
They didn't create it, but they picked and choose something to charge me with that had no standing in good faith. And it cost me, time in jail. It cost me money for a lawyer. It cost me my drone for over 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks.
But
it cost my reputation, which I've been working on repairing.
Yeah, because you were in the paper. It's a very public thing. Now, you're not in jail now, so that's good. Ultimately,
I agree. My wife would agree too.
Yes, she's a very sweet lady. And so you just in the end, it was thrown out. Just so everybody knows, it was thrown out.
The charges were dismissed after Dean Greenblatt very politely and professionally explained to the prosecuting attorney how to read a law and why the law that I was charged with has 5 paragraphs. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but I think 3 of the paragraphs exonerate me from being guilty of anything.
Yeah. So, and probably here's the detail of the case, right? So the law that they went and charged Don with is basically saying you can't fly over critical infrastructure. But the challenge is that particular law, right? It has 3 different areas. One, it says you can't do so for basically nefarious purposes, right? So if you are intentionally looking to do harm, that's against the law. Obviously, Don was not looking to intentionally do harm. That's one exemption. The second exemption is if you're a Part 107 operator, right? Oh, Don's a Part 107. So you're out there. And I think the third is, and this one's really critical, is that it mentions that you have to be designated, that location has to be designated as critical infrastructure. Now, drone pilots, what's critical infrastructure? What's designated? The FAA designates particular areas as critical infrastructure. They do so in the ArcGIS, right? That's the only place, that's the sole source of where you find critical infrastructure. The process to do that, right? A local government, they can go, hey, we have this electrical substation, we have this prison, we have this nuclear facility. We want this to be considered we want this to be considered critical infrastructure. We have to go to the FAA. We have to follow the FAA process. They review that, and then they will determine, yes, this is critical infrastructure. We're going to put this on the map on the ArcGIS. And anybody can then look this up and go, oh, yeah, you cannot fly here.
That's very interesting because so like all dams are not just blanket critical infrastructure. It has to be designated.
Right. And that's a lot of what happens is that you have these dam companies that, or even the Army Corps of Engineers that will go, hey, this dam is critical infrastructure. No, it's not. You haven't gone through the process with the FAA, or you tried to go through the process with the FAA and the FAA said, no, this isn't critical infrastructure. We're not going to put this on.
I have had experience. I had the Army Corps of Engineers call me about a video that I posted 5 years ago. And they didn't even use the words critical infrastructure back then. They just said, we don't want you to fly here. Will you take the, and I didn't want to get on the Army Corps of Engineers radar, and so, and just to let you know, everybody, I'm with you, Don. You were right. You had the law and the right behind you. Absolutely. But, I don't want to be on the radar. That's the thing. I want to avoid the radar at all costs. But you were in the right, of course. And if you have the time to go to court and fight it, and you have the money, then sure, this is what we need people to do. We need people to set precedent. And is that what you feel that maybe you've done with this?
No, I don't think there's been any precedent set. I think the sheriff, along with the prosecuting attorney, abused their privileges to slap me around. I feel my civil rights were seriously abused because there was nothing, any seventh grader could have read this law and seen there was nothing to charge me with. But even after Dean Greenblatt pointed out all the law to them, they didn't just automatically drop the charges like the prosecuting attorney made it seem in the article, news article. They offered a plea deal down to a misdemeanor that was a $1,500 fine and possible 90 days in jail.
So do you think that you went through all of this because you had a previous interaction with this particular officer?
Oh, absolutely. I believe I was arrested for contempt of cop.
Yeah. I've been there, man. I've been there.
And I think that's the lesson, right? So first and foremost is, as a drone operator, when you're on site and you're flying and you're approached by an authority, the likelihood, the very high likelihood, is that you have more understanding of FAA regulations than your counterpart, right? That police officer may have their own particular interpretation of things that they've heard in layman's terms, but the likelihood is you are the one with the wisdom in that conversation.
I will give you that. This is what you said is very true. However, in my case, I was first detained and my drone confiscated. They then had 3.5 weeks to look at the law. They could have checked the FAA website to see if I was a licensed pilot. I had told the police officer that I was a licensed pilot when they detained me, that I had checked my flight through Before You Fly with the FAA website to make sure I was cleared for takeoff. There were no warnings of anything around like a key facility. And I think you were the one that told me, Ryan, and I just got the map right here that we looked at. There are no key facilities anywhere in my entire county.
Right.
So
yeah.
Another little interesting tidbit, Ted, or Ken, you'll probably love this, is if you were to look at my website, Michigan Drone Photos, you would see I video lighthouses and churches and parades and, kids jumping off the bridge down at the river and things like that. But this summer there's a video on there of a race we had down here in Stony Lake, very small community, 1,000 racers. When I was going to fly my drone, I was asked to do video, but there was no way I could safely fly my drone. It was too small of an area, too big of a crowd. The race was starting under a full tree canopy and everything. So I put my GoPro on my mono stick and I used that. After the race, there's 600-700 people in this parking lot, and I look over and there's a drone 10 feet in the air hovering right over the top of everybody.
Right.
So I walk over and I talk to this young kid. He's 20 or something, I don't know. And I'm like, dude, you can't fly your drone here. Bring your drone down, And he's all nervous, and he's like, oh, well, and he points over and he says, well, he told me I could fly it. And he's pointing at what? An Oceana County sheriff leaning against his cruiser. So I walk over and talk to this sheriff, and I ask him, I said, sir, excuse me. And he said, yeah. I says, did you really tell this guy over here it was okay for him to fly his drone over this crowd? He says to me, well, we don't have any jurisdiction over that, so we don't care.
Okay, but he didn't tell him he doesn't care. Do it at your own risk.
No,
he said you have permission from me, the agency, and that's another thing. And admittedly, years ago, I've been doing this quite a while, and probably 2012, 13, I would ask permission of the wrong people, and then you could just say, well, I got permission, but you got permission from just some other dude that was there. Hey man, what's your name? Mike? Hey Mike, is it all right if I fly here? Okay, I got permission. You have to ask the especially now. But it seems to me that you're a responsible drone owner and flyer. And do you think, I think I know the answer, do you think that if I'll just call him Officer Friendly.
Would you like his name? I can give you his name.
I don't know.
I got his phone number.
Ryan should be, no, please don't do that. Don't do that. But if if
The
you had,
Oceana County Sheriff's Department.
yes, if you had said to him, "Hey, I'm going to bring it down. Would you like to know a few things about droning?" Would you, like, if you tried to educate him, do you think he'd be open to that or no?
No, he was not interested in being open to
Okay,
anything.
and that was because of your previous history with him.
Yes,
All right.
I believe so.
I had an interaction with the Chattanooga Police Department in Chattanooga. I was flying the Riverside near a concert, and one of the Chattanooga police officers said, "You can't fly here." And I said, "Yeah, we can." He said, "Where's your permission?" And I pulled out my FAA Part 107 card, and he was like, "Never seen it before." And I posted that, and a couple weeks later, I got a call from a sergeant from the police department. They have a whole drone program there, and what we decided was that me and Jason Shepard, remotepilot101.com, by the way, you can use Heron 18 to get a discount if you want to go there and get your 107. We're going to go down there, and we're going to make a video education supplement for the Chattanooga Police Department, because the sergeant and another lieutenant both agree that they didn't know enough about it. Now, that is rare, I would say, for a department to be self-aware and admit that they need to be educated and to reach out to someone in the community like myself to do that. But not everybody is like that.
About the same thing here.
Yeah, yeah.
Not our police chief, our sheriff, about it.
Right.
He acted like he was open to it, but it was very condescending the way he accepted my offer to find someone to do that.
Right, right. Was that the first time you called that particular officer a tyrant? Because that's not a word that's going to open up avenues of opportunity for you.
I think in our first encounter, I told him he was an idiot.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's legal. You can do whatever, you can say whatever you want to a cop. It's, that's your First Amendment right, of course, but
the honest truth is, I don't believe the individual has the intelligence to be carrying a firearm.
Oh, well, okay.
And enforcing the law.
Okay. Just a quick hold on.
That's just my personal opinion.
Yes, please. Hold on.
I will say.
Hi, this is Ken. The opinions of Mr. Muckel do not necessarily reflect those of. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yes, yes, Ryan.
I was going to say I think that the sheriff deputy, it clearly showed he had his own opinions of drones in various situations, right? So he might have been okay if it was just flying in an open field, but he had deemed himself as the authority on drones regarding electric conflict.
Ken,
yes.
Did you see the video where the employee in the drone yard told me okay when I told him I was put my drone up and take pictures?
Just getting to that. I'll go ahead. Let's share that right now.
Contractor.
I say you got a pretty major project going on here.
I expect they're just expanding the substation, but I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to throw my drone up here in a minute. Do is fly around and get some good shots.
Okay. All right, then.
Hey, have a good day, man.
Okay, so, Your Honor, I submit that permission wasn't asked and permission wasn't given. You said, I'm going to do this, and he's like, okay. That wasn't like, may I do this? And yes, you may. That wasn't, it's all semantics. But I will say, as far as that other, police are human, could be having a bad day, could be having a bad year. We don't know. It could be just an asshole. We don't know. But, you spins the wheel, you take your chances.
Ken, I'll give you mine. And Don, I don't know if you've heard this one before either, but I've been flying for more than a decade now, and probably in the 2016 area, I was down flying at the state capitol of Michigan, and right across the street is the Lansing Police Department. Now, I have been flying at the Capitol for years and years and years at that point, and been actually training the Michigan State Police, who roam the Capitol grounds and are covering the Capitol grounds. So this rookie cop from the Lansing Police Department sees the drone in the sky, comes over. Hey, you need to get that drone out of here now. Get it down. Under what authority? Oh, that pissed him off. Right. So he comes over and he's demanding it down. And all right, I'm going to bring it down. Well, I have an Inspire. Right. It's not going to come down all that fast.
It's
and
big, yeah.
I want some space. So I'm like, please stand back. I need you to be away from me. That ticked him even more off, and the drone's not coming down fast enough. He says, I'm calling Michigan State Police. You're in trouble now. Okay. So he called them. As I'm bringing the drone to a landing, Michigan State Police car comes down the one-way street the wrong way, comes screeching to a halt, and out jumps the Michigan State trooper. As he does so, he says, hey, Ryan, I see you're flying tonight. Do I get a chance to fly? At that point, I get to be kind of the professor watching my student teach another police officer about drone operations and regulations.
And that's got to be our goal.
Yes.
That's it, and that's exactly it. We need to be educators first and foremost. Unfortunately, there are those individuals in uniform that have no interest in being educated. I suspect that Don met with one of those individuals.
Yes.
But again, yes, the officer needed to be educated, and I didn't do it in the best way. I'll admit that. But again, you had a prosecuting attorney that had 3.5 weeks to look at the law.
Right.
And he still decided to charge me.
Yeah.
Have me arrested, cuffed, put in a cop car, taken to a cell, spent 26 hours before I was released. You know, I mean, the only good thing that came out of it is I ended up paying somebody else's bail and getting them home for Christmas so they could be with their kids.
That's nice. But yeah, I mean, people are spiteful sometimes. And a lot of police, like Ryan was saying, just have no interest in being educated, and they do this blanket. No, I think that has something to do with them being a little bit lazy and not wanting to look into it. You know
so
what I mean?
You're very nicely saying that it's okay for them to abuse their powers?
I'm not saying it's okay at all. Not at all. I'm just saying it happens. And unfortunately,
I just want to make sure that's what we're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Officers abusing their power.
If a cop comes up and says, my window tint is too dark, and I know it's not, I'm still going to get that ticket, whether I like it or not, and then I go fight it in court and prove that it's not. That's the route that I would go, rather than sitting there and saying, well, you know, you suck and you smell and, you know, I hate you and you're a tyrant and all that.
Yeah,
that's just not what I would do.
I think the big challenge here is that Don was charged with a felony, right?
Yes, yes. That is
serious.
That is crazy. What if you were convicted? What would that have been? 4 years?
They could have sentenced me to 4 years.
No, what is there any repercussions? Are you able to, you know,
no, there are no, because I didn't break any laws.
No, I mean for you, can you get an apology or anything like that?
Very difficult thing to do, from what I've been told and what I've learned. Mr. LaTourette here he was the very first person I contacted after I was initially detained and they confiscated my drone. And I told him the question I told him what happened. And my question is do I need a lawyer? And he immediately pointed me to Dean Greenblatt. And I wasn't messing around. I probably could have got some local lawyer a lot cheaper, and because the distance and everything else. But with a 4-year felony looking at me, I wasn't going to mess around, and I wanted somebody who knew aviation law, and that's Dean Greenblatt.
Okay.
And Ken, that's where we really have to start thinking about legal defense fund. We put together with Michigan Coalition of Drone Operators that free funder link, and the idea is we understand there has to be a legal defense fund because Don's situation is going to happen again.
Yeah,
we know that, and we have to have resources available that we can help in those circumstances.
How do we go about making that happen?
Ken, I'll tell you, I was in a cell with 4 other young men for the whole time. They were there that night. None of us were had a bail hearing until the next day, and the system. The reason I paid the bail for somebody else was because there was a young man that had made some mistakes earlier, and because he was in the system, he wasn't getting any breaks. He got pulled over on his 4-wheel on the road, and they charged him with fleeing and eluding.
Yeah.
He was going to miss Christmas with his family. He had a job, he worked, but he couldn't make bail. You know, there was various reasons for that we talked about through the night, but he was in the system. And there's so many like myself that start in the system. What if I had no resources in that situation?
Right.
Okay. What if I couldn't afford to hire a good lawyer? Okay. I mean, even after they knew I hadn't broken any laws, they tried to plead it down to something that still could have cost me 90 days in jail and $1,500.
And that's just personal spite.
And the only reason was because I have some education and wherewithal, and I have some money to be able to hire a lawyer. But there's so many people out there that get caught up in the system. And once you get into the system and you plead to something, because you can't risk going beyond that, you're in the system now. The next time they come down on you like a hammer because you're already in the system.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Not to mention the fact that, I mean, you're how many people were in your cell?
There was 5 of us in it.
And you walked in.
They were all in their 20s.
And they're all like, "What'd you do?" And you're like, well, I'm a drone operator. And they're like, "Whoa! All right. You get the bunk of your
Stay
choice."
away from that guy.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, it was an interesting 26 hours. There was a couple of them in there that probably needed to go to prison.
Yeah.
And there was one young kid that just made a mistake for the first time in his life, and he was going to be fine. And then this kid that I helped out who had been trying to get on a straight road, and I thought was just getting a raw deal.
Well, I'm very sorry that happened to you, and I know it's something that's going to stick in your craw for a while, because really, you're done with it. You got your drone back. They didn't break it, right? You got it back.
The sheriff wanted me to immediately sign off on all my stuff, but I took the props off my drone and fired it up in the lobby, and then he wanted me to sign off, and I said, no, I haven't seen it fly yet. So I took it out in the front yard of the sheriff's office, which is the city county building and sheriff's office, and I flew it over the top of the police station a little bit before I brought it down. And everything works.
Probably made you feel a little bit better, didn't it?
Yeah, that'll be part of my YouTube video.
Okay,
eventually.
good. So now it's you never, again, you spin the wheel, you take your chances. What if the asshole cops just had an A on their forehead? Wouldn't that be helpful? But you don't know until you interact with them. What should people do now that you've been through all this? What would you advise people to do in a similar situation? What would you do differently, if anything?
What would I do differently?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm already ready to go back and film there again. You know, it's. They put up cameras since I filmed there.
Right.
They still haven't put up any signage or anything that, identifies it as a key facility or anything like that.
Right. Well, next time you film a officer interaction, don't use vertical video. Hold the camera this way. So. And another thing, I
thought about you when I did that too.
Did you? I got the video. Like, vertical video, son of a bitch. But and now I'm not making any suggestions here. Now this may not have anything to do with what we're talking about, but I just want to put this out there, okay? If you want to gift anyone in your life, anyone that you recently met, I'm not saying anybody. I am saying Amazon does sell a nice edible anus arrangement. These are genuine edible anuses, and you can mail them to whoever you want. I'm just saying, be creative, whatever you want. I'm sure whoever receives this edible anus arrangement will appreciate them gratefully. And please use the link, my affiliate link in the description.
Plug.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you so much for being on and for sharing your story with us, sir. I really do appreciate it.
I hope something can come of it. I'd love to do some work to do like a drone defense fund, if you would. My son has a degree in nonprofit business, and he's set up a few nonprofits, and it's something I'd like to look into further, because I know there are going to be more people like me that end up in a situation like this that may not have the resources to go out and get themselves out of trouble right away, or know the people like Ryan here who was able to help me out and point me in the right direction.
Right. Now, if you do that, please let me know, and I'll let everybody know about it and how to donate. All right?
Definitely.
All right. Happy flying, sir.
Thank you very much for having me on,
Happy New
Ken.
Year.
I enjoyed
Thank
it very
you.
much. Please don't let Skype drive you out of the business.
Oh, my God. No, I'm going to try to just hang up with you and leave Ryan here.
One last thing.
Yes, sir.
I can't wait till I can send you some tube socks.
Oh, that'll never happen. Drone delivery
Okay.
will never, ever happen, sir. But you can send me a lovely edible anus arrangement whenever you like. Okay. I'll see you later, bud. Thanks. Okay. Woo, well, that was fun, wasn't it?
Woohoo!
That was, I hope, all kidding aside, that was a raw deal. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He's a really nice guy. He doesn't look like a complete criminal like his mugshot. He does, I look at that guy. Oh, yeah. Oh, that guy. Anyway.
And I will say the prosecutor in this case, I think is a complete tool because he really did not understand the law. He probably didn't read it closely. And even when he was pointed to the correct interpretations of everything, to say, oh, I still needed some type of conviction. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't they get brownie points for the number of convictions they have?
Yeah.
Right. That's the prosecutor.
I think he's deserving of that gift box.
You mean this one?
Yeah.
Do you think that could he have gotten a public defender, and would a public defender have served him well at all in this?
There's that possibility, but when I looked at the law and it was a 4-year felony, I said, you know what? That's not one to joke around with.
Right.
If it was a misdemeanor, I would have said, hey, you can defend yourself and I will help you get the wording together to write a motion to dismiss or just to defend yourself entirely in court.
Yeah.
But when it's a felony, now you're messing with somebody's really
That's true.
livelihood.
That's true. Well, I suppose we should tell everyone about remotepilot101.com, shouldn't we?
I mean, why shouldn't we? Because I look at it this way.
Yeah.
We got Ken Heron to pass the test. And when you can get Ken Heron to pass the test, I mean, isn't that the greatest? That is the peak of the mountain right there when you get Ken Heron to pass. So,
Yeah, if you can get that information into this melon and have it retained, which, aside from a few METARs and sectional charts, it's all in there.
it's all still in there.
Yeah.
It's all still there. But no, seriously, Ken, thanks so much for all that you do for us at remotepilot101.com, m0a.com. It's real world prep. I know we joke about it and everything else, but it's not just passing the test. It's being that safe real world operator. And that's what we're all about, is especially with all these crazy laws and rules and how it's just such a rapidly changing landscape. We're always staying on top of it, keeping Ken and all of the heron birds in line out there with the Part 107 regulations.
Right. If you're a newbie and you don't know what the heck we're even talking about, the FAA has a certification that you must get if you plan on using your drone to make money in the United States.
In the furtherance of a business,
Yes.
which goes as far as to say, we all know Ken is a top 10 radio DJ. Ken says, hey, Jason, I need you to come fly over the radio station for a Facebook video we're going to do. And we're buddies. So Jason, I'm not going to pay you to do it. You're just going to do it for me as a friend.
Right.
Well, it's still furthering the business of the radio station. I would need to be what's called a Part 107 certificated remote pilot.
That's right, and people try to get around this all the time, and believe
Sure
me,
do.
the government has thought of everything. You can't sidestep the FAA. But
Yeah, no doubt.
you can get the knowledge that you need to be a safe drone pilot.
Yes.
And if you like being a drone pilot and want to take it a few steps further, well, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to manned aviation, is it not, Jason?
That is so true, my friend. So we also have m0a.com for individuals to kind of really looking to get started from unmanned aviation to becoming a certificated private pilot as well. We've been trying to get Ken up in that airplane as well. But whether that's a hobby, a career, whatever that may be for you, we'll take you all the way from flying a drone to you want to be an airline pilot. We have all the test prep, the real world test prep, been there, done that kind of test prep to make you that safe real world pilot.
RemotePilot101.com. There it is right there. that face right there, that's from like 20 years ago, and he looks exactly the same.
It's true, but still the 2 watches, thanks to you, Ken.
2 watch. RemotePilot101.com. Love you, mean it.